your three E's.
Well, my point is that we must be ethnic, which is our blackness, accept our African roots, our African heritage, get all of the psychological self-esteem that we need out of being black. Have our natural hairdos and our symbols of blackness, but you got to go beyond being ethnic. You must also be ethical. Cain and Abel were ethnic. They were two brothers, came out the same mother's womb, but they were not ethical, and so they killed each other. So in addition to being ethnic, you must be ethical, but beyond that, you must be excellent. Because in the last analysis, the only thing that will protect you from genocide is to be necessary. I mean, whether you're in America or in Africa and wherever, your life chances are increased by being excellent. Now, you may not survive even if you're not excellent, but you're almost guaranteed to get wiped out if you're not excellent. I mean, that which has protected a Hank Aaron, that which protected a Willie Mays, that which has sustained a Muhammad Ali, that which has made a Ralph Bunche go down into the annals of science, or George Washington Carver, is in spite of a racist society not liking their ethnicity, their excellence was of such that even their enemies had to respect where they were coming from.
Come from a political world. I don't come from a political background. I don't come from the world of punditry. You know, when I first came on board, I was very clear that there is no political party that made me. In fact, the Democratic Party put millions of dollars to try to stop me from winning, right? I don't answer to the Democratic Party. I don't answer to party bosses. I answer to the only people who made me the governor of Maryland, which is the people of Maryland. I don't come from a political world. I don't come from a political background. I don't come from the world of punditry. You know, when I first came on board, I was.
Peace and love and welcome to Black Press USA's morning show, Let It Be Known, where we bring you the headlines and the culture. Of course, we started this show still honoring and remembering the legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson. And then, of course, you heard the governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, talking about he don't bow down to nobody. Trump, the Democratic Party, and I love it. I love it so much. And we're waiting for our special co-host to join us today, none other than Reverend Mark Thompson, a civil rights leader, host of Make It Plain, and one of the voices of Black Press USA. So he'll be joining us shortly. But Orange G, we'll start with you since you love to rev up the chat off the top. Talking about what happened at the BAFTA, I think it was the BAFTA Awards yesterday, when the N-word was thrown during an award giveaway between Michael B. Jordan and the other gentleman that played in Sinners. And so, yeah, it was unfortunate. There's a lot of chatter about that, but I think the bigger thing for us to celebrate as we wrap up Black History Month is that Ryan Coogler walked away with the Screen Writers Award, and he was very surprised. So congratulations to the Sinners cast. I believe somebody else won. That wasn't in the script, so but I still can talk about it because I'm aware of what you're talking about, Orange. And so yeah. Unfortunate, you know, when I saw the clip, it's just like we have to endure so much, you know, like the for Michael B. Jordan and those guys to still have to, you know, move forward and ignore it. It doesn't mean that they didn't hear it, and it doesn't mean that that word doesn't cut just as it cut when white folks heralded at us during slavery, during, you know, post-Reconstruction, during civil rights. It still cuts the same. And and they constantly remind us, no matter how far we go, how much we achieve, in their eyes, that's what they think of us. You know, that's what they think of us. That's what it is. So while we're waiting for Mark to join us, I'll throw out our morning poll. Since we were talking about Wes Moore, the conversation of Democratic governors not being invited to the White House, particularly Governor Wes Moore, who is the only Black governor in the United States, it cuts differently. So our poll question today is Trump's, and Trump has replied to the conversations that he's been hearing from Black America, from social media. And so Donald Trump has replied and says Governor Wes Moore was not worthy of a White House invite. Okay. And so our question is this a snub? Is it a snub? And your options are A, do you think it's blatant racism? Or B, strategic distraction? Because we know we have the Epstein files. We know, his son-in-law is over in Israel and other places taking land. We know that his administration is corrupt and all of the things that they are doing. So the question becomes, Trump saying that Governor Wes Moore, the only Black governor in the United States, saying he is not worthy of being invited to the White House, is that A, blatant racism, or is it B, strategic distraction? Let us know what you think in the chat, y'all. Let that marinate for a minute on the screen. All right. Now, as you guys chime in on that, we'll continue to talk about that. I want to say my apologies for not being here on Friday. There's a lot going on. But I would love to share with my Let It Be Known family is that I made my directorial debut at the Pan-African Film Festival on Friday. So last week was bananas. And by Friday, I was just out of gas. But we debuted on Friday to a sold out theater, packed from top to bottom. Tavis Smiley was in the house. Civil rights attorney Carl Douglas was in the house. And so we debuted our documentary called Stolen. And Stolen is just about the Black Lives Matter movement and what happened to the money. And so we got thunderous applause, rave reviews. Your girl is the executive producer, co-writer, and director. And so now we're preparing to take it across the country to different film festivals with the hope of landing a distribution deal on one of your streaming platforms. Yeah, Saturday, I was on Black Lives Matter grassroots radio show talking about it. This morning, after this show, I'll be over at KBLA, Tavis Smiley's radio show, talking about it. And so the journey as a director and producing a documentary has begun for me. So thank God for it. And I hope to be able to take this journey with y'all. And so I gave y'all time to chime in the chat. And so I thank y'all for responding. So some of you guys, Ida Miller is saying B. She thinks it's a distraction. Dr. Marilyn says a distraction. And then I saw somebody else, Helen Brown says both. She thinks it's both. And I tend to lean with you, Helen. I think it's both. I think it's racism, and I think it is strategic. I think it's both as well. We got another both in the house. So yeah, you guys can keep chiming in on that poll. And the poll question is, Trump says Governor Wes Moore was not worthy of a White House invite for the recent governor's meeting. So the question is it A, blatant racism, or B, strategic distraction? So you guys continue to chime in on this. And most people think it's a distraction. Oh, y'all think it's a distraction. Thank you, Nancy Wall. Nancy Wall says, congratulations on your way to filmmaking. Yeah, thank you so much. And we kept this thing for a secret for 2 years. Just constantly writing. It stayed in my computer, though, 9 months before the 2 years. So I'm just so thankful for Black Lives Matter Grassroots saying yes, and allowing us to tell this story in such a compelling but eye-opening way. Cornel West is in it. Tavis Smiley is in it. A lot of the families are in it. Dr. Melina Abdullah is in it. And we take you on the journey from Trayvon Martin's life being stolen and then all the way up till today. And the name of the documentary is Stolen: Trust, Money, and Movement. So it's coming your way, hopefully sooner than later. All right, so while we wait for Reverend Mark Thompson, who's currently in Chicago right now, he's going to be joining us shortly. Let's talk about a couple of stories. And then I need for you guys to be my co-pilot until he pops in. So top Democrats have been instructed not to interrupt Donald Trump's State of the Union speech tomorrow. So instead, they're planning individualized responses to show opposition to his agenda. So some plan to deliver direct addresses or attend counter rallies, which that happened to me. Maybe his first term, I happened to be in DC, and I went to, this is when Congress member Maxine Waters was the chair of the Finance Committee, because whoever holds the power of the House, that party is allowed to be the chair. So I had the opportunity to attend and watch the State of the Union with Congress member Maxine Waters in the Finance Committee room as a counter and resistance to the rally. So I'm pretty sure a lot of those will be going on in the Capitol. But like I said, some plan to do counter rallies. Some will likely skip the speech altogether, and some might attend and cause distraction, defying House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries' warning against disruption. So how do you guys feel about the State of the Union tomorrow? Are you planning to watch it? I saw that State of the People, they're doing their own live thing. That's Angela Rye, I think Karen Finney, and I saw a few other names. So they're doing their own thing. I'm sure Roland Martin will be doing his. So how do you plan on, what do you plan on doing tomorrow during the State of the Union? Do you plan on watching it, or do you plan on resisting it? Put that in the chat as well. That'd be interesting to find out. Thank you so much, Dr. Marilyn. So if we come to a city, for a film festival and you're in it, I'm definitely putting y'all on my list. So I will keep you posted as we do the journey. But there is the State of the People lineup for tomorrow night. If you want an alternative to a Black-centered discussion about the state of our nation and a response to what Donald Trump is saying, State of the People Live will be the place to be. They start at 7 p.m. Eastern time and they go to 11. So you can go and check them out tomorrow. And I'm pretty sure our guest, as we wait for him, our special guest co-host, Mark Thompson, I wouldn't be surprised if you see him on there too, because it looks like it's a 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. It's 4-hour broadcast. So they're going to have a lot of voices over there. And Mark Thompson was instrumental with helping get State of the People even started when they launched. And so we'll tap in when he joins us to ask him about that as well. But we're going to stay on Capitol Hill. We started out this morning with still remembering, reflecting on all the jewels, on all the love for Black people that Reverend Jesse Jackson had, and how he tried to spread that love and empowerment to us every opportunity he had. And so we started with his 3 E's. And so I know you guys have all heard, but if some of you haven't, House Speaker Mike Johnson has denied a request from Democrats and the family of Reverend Jesse Jackson for him to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol, citing a recent rule change that that honor only be reserved for presidents. Now, if you recall, in 2005, Rosa Parks became the first and only citizen granted that honor. And so with all of that, he has had funeral updates, and his family and his social media handle has definitely been keeping us updated. Reverend Thompson, welcome.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm delayed.
Not a problem. You're right on time.
Time difference. And I think the other day I complimented what a great job you're doing.
Thank you.
Which means that, you really don't need me this early in the morning.
No.
That was the purpose of the
That is not
compliment.
true. That is not true.
You really don't need, no, really, you're doing a great job. Very, very proud of you. But good morning. Good morning, everyone. Time difference. I'm actually in Chicago right now. So
good, because we're right in Chicago. We started off the show with Reverend Jesse Jackson and his 3 E's. And so we talked. So now we're on. We just discussed Mike Johnson denying his request to Lion State. Do you have any feedback or thoughts on that?
Well, it's my understanding that those negotiations went pretty far, and I think they say they want to curb back that. I guess they feel like enough people have done that. I don't know. Charlie Kirk was not there. Was Charlie Kirk in the rotunda?
The only person that has been able and granted to Lion State was Rosa Parks in 2005. That's it. No Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. So I that's what I thought, because I keep hearing, well, they didn't want to do it because they didn't want to let Charlie Kirk in, but I just couldn't remember whether Charlie Kirk was actually there. But you're right. No. I was actually there when they bore Rosa Parks into the rotunda. I was standing right there, and it was a very moving experience. And so I am one of the guilty parties who suggested Reverend Jackson lying. And to be clear, it's not lie in state. It would be lie in honor. I believe only there's a different distinction. I'm not sure what it is, but people get confused about this because I was told that you had to be an elected official, Lion State, but that was Reverend Jackson was an elected official. He was the senator of the District of Columbia. Are you aware of that?
No, that's it. No,
okay,
I wasn't.
So everybody, let's do our homework. Google the Tennessee plan. Every state has been admitted into the Union after the state of Tennessee in the 1700s under the Tennessee plan. And the Tennessee plan is where you elect 2 shadow senators and a representative to lobby for statehood. And Reverend Jackson was elected our shadow senator for the District of Columbia. So he was an elected U.S. senator to lobby for D.C. statehood. And that's one of the reasons why it's appropriate. It was my argument. It was appropriate for him to lie in state or lie in honor, whichever distinction is. But they're not, they wouldn't do it. And, but that's not going to stop us.
Right. Well, we were just about to get into when you pulled up on us, and we're happy about that. We were just about to get on his journey, his homegoing journey, which starts this week, Thursday, February 26th. He will lie and repost at the Rainbow Push building, and doors open at 10 a.m. And then, of course, on Friday, it'll be the same. And then he will travel to South Carolina and Washington, D.C. on Sunday, March 1st through Wednesday, March 4th. And then on Friday, March 6th, the People Celebration at the House of Hope in Chicago. And then there's a private homegoing service at Rainbow Push on Saturday, March 7th. So Reverend Jesse Jackson is looking to have a 2-week journey to his final resting place. Thoughts?
Well, that's appropriate. And it's to me, it's very, very meaningful that he's going home to South Carolina. I think that's important. And that call came when the rotunda folk in Congress were acting up. So the governor of South Carolina, Alden, said he should lay in state in the state capitol. of South Carolina, and so that's where
Nice.
so that's a beautiful gesture for him.
That's nice because
yeah,
the
yeah.
release that the family did, it's very general. It didn't specifically say that. So he will be able to lie in state or honor at the state capitol in South Carolina. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Absolutely. So he's worthy. Definitely worthy of that. So all of the plans are being finalized and underway. Still working on the DC schedule and where he will be in DC. Right now, at this hour, the plan is still for him to come to Washington, DC, and that's appropriate. You didn't know that, Neil, that he was an elected official?
I had no idea. You know,
he was a district shadow senator.
So see, I can't do it by myself. I do need a little help to fill in the blanks. Okay, there's some blanks that need to be filled in. I want to pivot backwards a little bit because I want to get your thoughts. We talked about the State of the Union address is tomorrow, and we talked about State of the People from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Will be doing their own address in response to what Donald Trump is saying. And I'm pretty sure a lot of Black independent journalists will be doing the same. But what are your thoughts about Donald Trump putting that gate around the Capitol? Did you know that he is erecting a large gate around the Capitol? He started over the weekend?
No, I wasn't. I missed that. I've been on. So wait, it was a gate.
Yeah, he's putting up a gate, a large gate, maybe 6 feet around the Capitol before his speech on tomorrow. I mean, what is he afraid of? The only people that stormed the Capitol was his folks.
I don't understand that.
I mean,
and that's one of the most protected areas in the world. I wasn't. Is this a temporary gate?
I'm assuming it's temporary. They just said they said ahead of the State of the Union. So to me, that alluded that it's just for that because he thinks that there's some type of protection that needs to be held. I mean, when the only people in history that have stormed the Capitol is his mega tribe, his mega clan rather, because he don't have a tribe, he has a clan. So his mega clan.
That's crazy.
And then the second question is Hakeem Jeffries, the House Speaker, Minority House Speaker, has asked Democrats not to boo, not to be a distraction during the State of the Union. And we know typically that's what happens, you know, depending on whose side you're on and whatever the president at the time says, you're allowed to react, but he doesn't want any distractions. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think he has to say that. But it's kind of a wink. Because I remember Donald Trump's first State of the Union of his second term. I remember people demonstrated and got kicked out. But yeah, I think he just has to say that. But I don't know that anybody is required to abide by it.
Dr. Marilyn says, I hope they boo him like never before. It's been let's pivot now to some more stories that are important that definitely need to be amplified because Black men are still under attack in this country by state sanctioned police and just, you know, some crazy things are beginning to happen. And let's go to Georgia, where Kyle Basinga, a 21-year-old young man, was found last week hanging from a tree in Fair Oaks Park in Marietta, Georgia. And that's northwest of the city of Atlanta. Now, authorities are investigating it as a suicide, but there has been video that comes out prior to with him having an altercation with police. And I think even more, a new study has identified over 70 modern day lynchings across 7 states in the South. And that includes Texas, Mississippi, Georgia, Louisiana, Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama. Now, the Crimson Record study highlights patterns in suspected lynching cases often ruled as suicides in the South over the last 25 years.
Yeah, I've never bought that. Why would Black men of all people? I mean, you know, people commit suicide every day, and we know suicide rate is up in so many situations. Why would Black men hang themselves? I don't get that. I mean, I think that there's a collective trauma, and I don't know about the Crimson Record, but I think if you asked any clinicians, that would not be a tendency for Black men. Maybe there are other ways to commit suicide, but considering our history and experience, I don't quite understand that.
Yeah, it's insane. And the problem is that, well, thank God for social media now, because this isn't really being talked about in mainstream media. And it's scary for Black men and for mothers, you know, and for wives and for children that are old enough to know, especially in the South, when you see that it's rising over the past 25 years. Well, it just continues to happen. And so I don't know what
I think we know the suicide rate is up, and I wonder, compare that number with the number of so-called hangings. But there was one in North Carolina, I think last year, that we found to be suspicious, and it just did not make sense. What? No, I'm sorry. I just don't buy it. I don't think it's not our inclination to buy those stories
at all, not at all. But we will continue to track that story. Let's head to Michigan, where in Grand Rapids, police have released footage of an officer fatally shooting a Black man who was lying on the ground and also being attacked by a dog as well. Now, families have identified the deceased as 32-year-old Daquan Johnson and say he posed no threat to the officers or the community when he was shot multiple times last week. Now, police said that officers were pursuing a man on a bicycle, which was Johnson, and they believed he was armed with a handgun, a story we hear all the time, just like the lynchings, suicide, and we know. So one officer deployed a canine that attacked Johnson, but take a look at what Johnson's mother had to say. Are we going to take a look? Maybe not. But the mother was definitely distraught. The mother referred to what happened to her son as an Emmett Till scenario. The mother said that while they shot him, the dog was gnawing at his neck at the same time. The mother said also that he had his hands behind his back when he was shot. So why do you have to shoot somebody multiple times? Oh, here we go.
So I don't have the audio. StreamYard is blocking it right now.
Okay. Well, see, that's another problem that we're having now. You know, the powers that be with all of this technology and social media, just weird things are happening right now. But yes, the mother did say that his hands were behind his back when he was shot multiple times. The dog was gnawing on his neck while he was being shot. And she said that when she went there, you know, I mean, that some of his remains were still on the ground. And so why does this happen? I mean, where's the, first of all, do we think he's going to get accountability? And, you know, what do we do when we have a government that is pushing state police and federal sanctioned violence?
Yeah. What and why was he detained in the first place? What was the reason?
Well, they said that because they thought that he had a gun, but he was on a bike. They were chasing him on a bike. First of all, he was on a bike. They put the canine on him. The canine is gnawing on him. So that means that if he's on the ground and the canine has him, why do you have to shoot the man? Yeah.
That's we are dealing with state sanctioned violence, and we're going to see that violence come into full effect. Now, what's that? That's the same. This is the same case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the video footage that the police released. That the police officer released.
We're gonna see. There's speculation, maybe even threats, that we're even gonna see ICE at polling places this fall. So they're ramping this up, and this is the same thing that was going on at the end of Reconstruction. The violence, the intimidation, the voter intimidation. That's how they're going to try to take this election back. And so this is all fear and intimidation tactics to bring these things about. So we're all under threat, and that's a form of suppression and discourages people. It makes people want to stay home. It makes people fearful. All right. And that's one of the reasons for it. We've seen it cumulatively, but now Trump wants to institute it in terms of the election season and at the polls. There's a reason for that. He doesn't want to lose. He doesn't want to lose the midterms. He's going to try to trick them.
And let's not forget that we still don't know what he's trying to spin on those files that he took out of the Fulton County election offices.
Right.
We don't know how many other states they're planning to, surprise attack on polling sites for that, or election offices for that. And we can't forget that they still are planning secretly how to nationalize elections. Remember, he wants to take that. I mean, and we just don't know what his plan is, So yeah, we know that that he wants to put ICE agents at polling places, but I just think that he's trying to do something even bigger, because we still don't know why did you take those files?
Well, he's on the surface, he's taking those files because he wants to prove that he did not lose Georgia, that was orchestrated, that there was cheating in Georgia. But that's the irony. He's projecting. He's the cheater in chief.
Right.
Not Joe Biden, not anybody else, not Fulton County Election Commission. He's the cheater. And so he wants to distract from what he does. And all he is a big distractor.
And see,
Epstein, all of that.
And so if he proves that, he won Georgia, that's a reason and a premise for him to say that's why we need to nationalize elections.
Right. So, and you can't trust that chain of evidence, whatever they stole from Georgia. He's going to make it look like it was stolen. What he stole, isn't that interesting? They stole election results or records in Fulton County so he could prove the election was stolen from him. Right? Y'all, that is the perfect example of clinical projection. All right. You claim something was stolen from you, so you steal it to prove it was stolen. All right. And Neil, I don't think that he needs those records from Fulton County to do what he's going to do anyway come November. Whether those records prove, and we know they won't prove anything, they may try to spin them and make them look like they prove something, but those records won't prove anything. He is going to try to undermine this election.
100%.
And frankly, rather than Democrats being given instruction not to disrupt his speech tonight, all the energy
tomorrow,
all the energy should be, see, it's so early in the morning. What time is it where you are?
It is 5:40.
This y'all, bless her heart. She gets up before dawn in LA to join us. And I'm on Central Time. Normally I'm on the East Coast time. I'm on Central Time here in Chicago today. He fully intends, rather than Democrats being told tomorrow night, don't disrupt, Democrats need to figure out a way to stop him from meddling in this election and get prepared for when he decides not to leave office.
Yeah, and I don't see enough of that. I think that that right now that the Democrats are going to be in a reactive because they are not being proactive. At the top of the year, they should have been, mobilizing their people. You know what I'm saying? And it's just not happening. But I want to pivot over to the chat. Nancy Wall says, cheater in chief. You said cheater in chief. She's cracking up at that.
That lyric just came to mind. I didn't get off my hand.
She finds that hilarious. And she also says nothing new under the sun. His people are fed up with him and his deceitful tactics. I don't think they fed up enough, though. Mike V says he just needed 11,780 votes, Reverend Mark Thompson. And then Michael Carter says, yes, they are definitely planning to intimidate and cheat. We have to vote in mass numbers to ensure that they don't get away with the vote. And, when you say that, I'm so proud of the students over at Texas Southern. I saw this morning where they marched to early voting sites at Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church in Houston, and they're going to continue to do that. So you see a lot of HBCU students that have been disenfranchised. Polling locations have been taken off of their campus, and so they are galvanizing students to go in early vote. So shout out to HBCU students.
Let me respond to the 11,000. So Raffensperger, who I think was the Secretary of State, I remember his title, and he was talking to Trump at the time, and he testified before Congress, and he told Trump how many Republicans just didn't vote for him. See, and y'all, that's where it gets fishy. If in November 2020, you had a number of Republicans in Georgia not vote for their own top of the ticket, that is Donald Trump, before January 6th, how did his votes increase in 2024? That ought to be fishy to people. What had he done to make Republicans not vote for him in 2020 that was worse than January 6th? And his vote increases. They had no GOTV plan. They had no boots on the ground in terms of an electoral strategy in November of 2024. Yet he still won. Anyway, let me stop, because the last time I had that investigation, I got banned off TikTok.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you told us that last time.
Yeah. Yep,
yeah. Like I said, like certain videos, like that video of that mother, it won't play. You know what I'm saying? We had journalist and radio host Mo Kelly on last week. And similar to what happened to you, he got banned off of Facebook and I think Instagram for something that he doesn't even know what he said.
Right.
And they just banned him.
Right. Insane.
And so, yeah, so we have to be vigilant, and we're still waiting on to see what the Democratic Party is going to do. So we'll see. But let's move to Idaho, where City Council replaces Juneteenth with Columbus Day. Now, the Post Falls City Council voted 4-2 last week to no longer have Juneteenth be a paid holiday and return Columbus Day to the city's official calendar. Now, what you say, Reverend Thompson?
Well, I think we know what that is. I just a question of finding out who the personalities are and where the pressure came from to make that decision. But that's and who lives in Idaho City?
It's a few. It's a few of us there. It's a few.
But I mean, there was white folks pulling down Columbus statue, so that's what's curious to me. You know, the whole. People were trying to take down Columbus before Juneteenth was a national holiday. You know, there was a whole movement to remove Columbus. So I'd be real curious to know the history behind it. Obviously, there was a Columbus Day that was taken away, so there had to be some movement to take it away from Idaho City. So I'd be curious to know what those politics and personalities are. That's an interesting story.
Yeah, but it's interesting, but it might be a foreshadowing of our national Juneteenth holiday, because we know that he's itching to do. He's itching. That Juneteenth bothers them a lot. the national holiday. So, you know, we just have to see what happens. But
keep in mind, most Republicans voted for that national holiday for Juneteenth. And not only that, you know, it was very interesting. This was during the George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor summer. I like to say all three because they kind of all, you know, they happened at that same moment in that same time. And people were in the streets for Black Lives Matter all over the world. And then all of a sudden, we got Juneteenth. Don't get me wrong, Juneteenth is great. We have a national holiday. But that's not what people were marching in the streets for en masse in the summer of 2020. People were not marching for it. Most people didn't even know the bill was up. People were marching for an end to police violence and to say that Black Lives Matter. And it was kind of like they gave us, well, let's go ahead and give them Juneteenth now.
Right.
Right. And okay, well, Juneteenth, there should be a holiday. Absolutely. But that was not enough to placate us. So now that somebody wants to take it away, well, okay. But you're still killing us. Right. And Black lives still don't matter.
Yeah. We'll stick a pin in that one right there. Let's head to some international news.
Mike V6046 says Mark didn't want to push Trump teams.
Oh, I know when they were pushing
with that his own, because that's kind of the way he thinks. Trump teams.
That's how he thinks, right? And all those Black folks that was at the White House last week for Black History Month, they would be like, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea." And I remember when they passed that holiday, I know here in California, everybody was like, "We talking about reparations. You want to do something for Black folks? Give us our reparations. Don't nobody need no holiday right now. Thank you, but let's think bigger."
Right.
I want to jump into some international headlines for a minute, because I know you brought up last week when you were on and talked about those 4 people that were executed. And then you see what's happening over in the Caribbean, where an organization in St. Vincent and the Grenades is urging fishermen to take certain precautions after decrying a recent U.S. strike in the Eastern Caribbean that killed 3 people aboard a suspected drug boat. Now, last week, the U.S. government announced that it had carried out strikes on 3 boats, including one in the Caribbean Sea, killing those 3 people. But I want to take you to take a look at what this fisherman had to say. I hope that it'll play. Is it gonna play, Greer?
That's all we do, push drugs. It's just sad. That's just sad. And only one word one thing I have to say about it, they need to stop murdering our Caribbean brothers, because soon for now, you know what I mean, when you suspect everybody as being drug pushers and it's really a sad day in the world.
Are you concerned about the safety
Very
of
much.
fishermen in Antigua and Barbuda?
Very much concerned, because what is the criteria right now for them to say that you have a boat and it's a drug boat because it has more than 1 engine on the boat? That's the criteria. Because so far there's no evidence of drugs on any boat that the US shoot down and ambush in the night. And all I can say, that's just murder. What they're trying to say, everybody in the Caribbean.
It's murder. And that was Grenada. I'm sorry, that was Grenada. I was talking about St. Vincent and St. Lucia. But Mark, I'll let you respond to that.
Well, he's absolutely right. And those are extrajudicial executions that Trump is carrying out. He is wanton with his violence beyond this border, and his violence within these borders as well. And he just does not care. And this notion that some have, well, we're just going to wait him out, is really a very dangerous notion. It really is. And it's not going to work. He is going to cause more havoc and more damage as long as he's there. He needs some guardrails. Now, the Supreme Court struck down his tariffs, which nobody expected. But obviously somebody's check didn't clear. Because you remember his first, back to the State of the Union, his first State of the Union in his second term. Remember, they had a hot mic on and he shook hands with Brett Kavanaugh. And he says, man, thank you for doing what you did for me. Thank you for, you did me a solid. I'm gonna get you back. And even Kavanaugh was like, you're not supposed to say that out loud in this. So they do little stuff like that. And he's known for being a shyster, taking advantage of people, not giving people what they want. So it is likely that something went down where they said, we can't go with this one because he's not going to get us back. He's not going to hook us up. So this is utter corruption, utter fascism, utter authoritarianism. And we need to be a little bit more strategic as a movement and as a people in response to this. Other countries, we don't think about that in America, though. You know, other countries, people flee fascism and dictatorship and authoritarianism from the Caribbean and other countries to come here looking for freedom. That's why they get confused. Those who have fled other countries coming here looking for freedom, some of those people of color voted for him because they were convinced it was so bad back at home. We won that special election in Texas 3 weeks ago because Latinos voted for Trump in that district in 2024. Now they flipped because they see him rounding up their relatives. Well, we try to tell you that.
Right.
Listen to the people who've been here. Why would I go to some dictatorship and not listen to the people who've been living under that dictatorship? Oh, that's not real. I'm not going to listen to them. I'm here as a Why would I not do that? So that's really what we're up against. And
Reverend Thompson said, listen to the people that's been here. Okay,
right.
We're telling you. And I think that's why a lot of Black people, you know, we're moving and, you know, we still have movement, but a lot of us are sitting still like, y'all fight that battle. It's on y'all. That's why I love white people who say it is our responsibility to fight systemic racism. I love to hear that conversation now from white people. We hear it a lot from white people for Black Lives Matter. That's really a group, white people for Black Lives. And they say that this is our battle to fight.
Yeah.
And
well,
it
yeah,
is.
They do. They need to take it on.
They do. They do. And so even like on a selfish, you know, response to this story, Donald Trump is messing up the travel industry. I mean, he's just messing it up because now you think twice. Like St. Lucia is on my bucket list to go to. I just saw that Brandy and Monica are going to be at the Jazz Festival in St. Lucia. But when you hear that the government has told airlines to fly over there at your own risk, and you look at a map and you see how close Grenada and St. Lucia is to Venezuela, you're going to think twice about taking that vacation, which hurts the tourism industry for those Caribbean countries. So it's so much that goes into all of this. And it's not, you know, the most important thing is the lives that are lost, but it's also the cause and effect of so many other things.
You're absolutely right. I agree. I would agree with that. This is a big fight we're in, y'all.
Let's head over. We have some more things that are happening to Black men in this country. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who is a friend of Black Press USA, stood alongside attorney Liza Park and a grieving mother to demand accountability in the death of her 21-year-old soul, Javon Benham. And this happened inside a Georgia state prison. Now, Benham was in custody of the Georgia Department of Corrections at Valdosta State Prison when he was found dead in what his attorneys described as a solitary confinement cell on Christmas Eve in 2025. And according to Crump, He had been dead for 2 days before his body was discovered. And attorney Liza Parks said their investigation is ongoing, but outlined what she described as critical failures inside of the prison system.
Wow. Yeah, that is very, very critical and very, very bad. Solitary confinement is its own form of torture. And obviously this is a systemic failure because you have someone who's in solitary confinement. They clearly weren't even checking on him. If they found if he was dead for 2 days before they weren't even checking on the brother. That's terrible.
Right. And so when we talk about prison reform, when we think about privatized prisons, GEO and Core Civic, they're getting all of these federal dollars from Donald Trump and from Donald Trump's state governors. And then they can't even do their job, which takes us to this next story where Senator Raphael Warnock is attempting to stop the construction of an immigration detention facility that ICE wants to open in 2 small Georgia towns. Now, in an amendment, Warnock filed a House spending bill regarding the Department of Homeland Security on Friday. The Georgia senator proposed language that would block any of the bill's funding for the proposed detention centers. Oakwood facility, comprised of a pair of warehouses totaling more than 600,000 square feet and located about a mile from its city hall, is expected to hold about 1,500 detainees. And of course, we know that the people that are putting up these detention centers or the entities are Core Civic and GEO.
Yeah. And I applaud Raphael, the Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock, for doing that. Just wish he could also figure out a way to stop Mayor Andre Dickens' Cop City in Atlanta.
We forgot about that, Cop City. Forgot about that. But for our viewers that are what is Cop City?
It is going to be an amusement park for police. The over-police state that we already have, this would be a training center for police, a retreat center for police all over the country, if not the world. And for them to be trained by the Israeli Defense Forces in that space. It is a sacred space on indigenous land. It is an environmentally sacred and protected, should be protected space. And the community does not want it at all. But that's Cop City. That's what they're building in Atlanta.
What's the benefit for Dickens to do this? What's the benefit for him?
I don't know. I have no idea. I can't figure one out.
So it's not money.
It's going against money? Well, it must be. I mean, I don't have any evidence of money. I don't know that anybody's investigated the money connection. That's not readily apparent. I don't know, but there's some benefit. I mean, you have people, it's human nature to assume that when a politician does something, there's no real justification that's visible. It's money, but I can't really confirm that at all. But we don't need that motivation. If it's wrong, it's wrong. That's the duty of those of us who live in a democracy. No, we don't want it. I don't have to explain anything. I don't have to prove what kind of dirt you're up to. That is wrong. The dirt is cozying up to the police, providing a playground for them. And see, I don't even know that Cop City is going to bring revenue into the state. I mean, whenever you have conventions and I guess a gathering, but looks like anything else, people are going to spend money. But no, this is not the answer. Whereas, to paraphrase Marvin, Cop City is not the answer. No, we don't want that.
So before we light things up on our last 2 stories, I want to go back up to our poll and get your thoughts on it too. Our morning poll was we were talking about, we had another video of Governor Westmore talking about how he is not in alliance or has any allegiance to the Democratic Party or nobody except his constituents. And so our morning poll was, Trump says Governor Westmore was not worthy of a White House invite. And of course, this is for the recent governor's meeting that Democrats, and particularly Governor Westmore, took offense to because he's the only Black governor. He took it as a snub. But we wanted to know from our viewers, tap in, guys. Do you think Trump saying Moore was not worthy? Is it A, blatant racism, or B, strategic distraction? Put an A in the chat if you believe it's blatant racism. Put a B in the chat if you think it's strategic distraction. Which one do you think it is, Reverend Thompson?
Can we pick both?
Of course.
He uses racism as a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the words of LBJ himself, President Johnson. If you can distract the lowest white man, if you can lead him to believe that at least he's better off than the lowest Black man, then you can pick his pockets. And he said, as a matter of fact, he'll open his pockets for you. I'm paraphrasing. So it's a distraction. To be racism is a distraction in and of itself. Dr. King, on the steps of Montgomery State Capitol, said that as well. Said Jim Crow is what was given to the white man as a psychological bird that he could feed his hungry family off of. All right. And that's a distraction from the fact that his conditions are not any better. The economy they're voted for is not any better. So you use racism as a distraction. It's a both and.
Michael Carter says it's both. Negan 11 says AB, both for sure. But
y'all, that's called copying off the quiz. When your classmate says an answer like me, and then you just it's called copying.
Oh wow. Well, Big Cheese says it's B, a distraction. Interesting, because he never goes against his beloved Trump. So that's interesting. So let's talk about some Olympics. Have you been watching the Olympics?
I have. I regret. I've been so busy. I really wish I had time to really enjoy them. I do not enjoy curling. I do not understand that. That is but curling is fascinating because you watch it because you wonder what in the world is this. It's like you can't turn away from it because you're so curious as to how that's a sport and how that came to be. But
I'm not familiar with that. Well, which one is that with the skiing, the bobsled?
The rocks, when they push the rocks and the little circular rocks.
Oh yeah.
And they push them along the thing, or they don't push them. They have to. I can't even explain it. But it's a sport. It's been a sport for years, and I just don't get. I don't get it.
All right, in the chat, you guys tell us what's your favorite competition in the Winter Olympics. But we want to congratulate Layla Edwards. She picked up a gold medal, and she became the first Black woman to play U.S. Olympic hockey.
Go
and
ahead, Layla.
Assisted the goal to send us to overtime, and she helped the team get the gold medal.
Go ahead, Layla. Congratulations to her.
Yeah.
There was a sister in, I think, bobsledding on the luge who came close.
Mm-hmm.
So we had some representation in the Winter Olympics.
And I was excited to see all of the Caribbean islands participate because they don't get snow nowhere, no how. So to me, it's extra extraordinary for them because they don't participate in a cold climate like that.
And we remember the movie Cool Runnings about the Jamaican bobsled team. So yeah, that's now it's my understanding that the Haitian Olympic team had an image of Toussaint Louverture on their uniforms. Greg, Google that for me real quick, please.
No, that's true. Her name is Stella Jean. And we actually we had her booked on the show and she had to reschedule. So we hope to have her back either this week or next week. But her name is Stella Jean. She's Haitian, I think, and Italian. And she designed the costumes for Haiti.
But now beautiful
costumes.
But beautiful uniforms. But I'm told that the Olympic Committee forced them, after the opening ceremony, forced them to remove, or right before it, forced them to remove the Toussaint Louverture pin that was on the uniforms. Had you heard that?
No, that happened, but what they did, they became artistic and they kind of put something over his head. So they kept it, but they just covered his head.
But why would they make them do that in the first place? What's wrong? That is a part. You can't say you can't celebrate Haiti without celebrating Toussaint.
You know, that's the control that they still have. But the way that they fixed it, it was still beautiful, and the representation of him was still there.
Okay, all right.
He wasn't denied. They just, they say, okay, you don't want that, then we're going to do it another way. But people have already seen what it looks like, so his presence is still there.
Okay.
You just can't see him. You can see the horse, though. You can still see the horse. You see, there it is. You can still see the horse, just not his head.
That's crazy.
Right. But they won for best uniform for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That was the talk of the town.
Yeah.
And we had the traditional Ralph Lauren. So there you have it. Last story of the day before we end with our Black History facts is President, I never call him president, but Donald Trump wants Netflix to give former U.S. Ambassador Susan Rice the boot off the board of the directors. Now, Rice said during a podcast last week that it is not going to end well for corporations, news organizations, and law firms that bend the knee to Trump, and that their difference is unpopular. So Trump's comments come as Netflix is pursuing a takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery. And of course, the Department of Justice is reviewing the proposed acquisition. But he's now saying if you want Warner Brothers and Discovery, you got to get rid of her.
Yeah, not surprising there. And again, all of these things are, it's either always a distraction. It's both.
Yeah.
It's the racism and the distraction, but it's a third thing. And it's flooding the zone. Again, it's a constant, it's psyops, constant flashbang, to disorient you, to disorient the victim. He is everywhere. What president is sitting up thinking about who's on some board at Netflix? You're not even supposed to have time to do that. You're bombing boats of innocent people in the Caribbean, and you're trying to get Susan Rice off a board. One person off of a board of Netflix. But he's just random. He's just all over the place. He's flooding the zone. I'm going to be in front. I'm going to be top of the news every day. I'm going to have a news story every day. And it's just like a form of enhanced interrogation and torture. Right. So yeah, he's weighing in everything, all over everything. And part of the news media's problem is that they keep giving him oxygen. They keep giving oxygen to the flame. Sometimes he needs to be ignored.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And I think there's also a bigger play for this because we know his boy Larry Ellison and son, they own CBS and Sky Bite, and they want Warner Brothers and Discovery.
Right. Well, and
also
legacy
play for his friend because he doesn't want Netflix to have it. He wants his friends to have it.
Yeah. And again, that's part of the problem too. This is also the takeover, the right-wing takeover. That's what you have in fascism. You have state-sponsored media, and that's what we're leaning toward. Well, that can't be. We've never had state-sponsored media in the United States, freedom of the press. No, he's putting it in place, y'all. Wake up. And to think that human beings implement fascism. There's no piece of paper that alone can prevent, I care what the Constitution says, there's no Bill of Rights. There's no piece of paper alone that can prevent fascism. But see, here in this country, we are so caught up in that piece of paper. Oh, the paper is the Constitution's greatest piece of paper in history. And this is what it is. No. If a human being comes along and wants to undermine it, that is what's going to happen. That's what it is. That's what's going on right now. But we can't believe it. We will be the last to know it because we think that piece of paper is so sacred. And we think its existence alone is the foundation of humanity, morality, democracy, the Bible, and everything else. It is not. It is a piece of paper. Now, are you prepared to truly defend it or not? That's the question.
That is the question. All right. We're going to leave it right there, and we're going to jump into our Black history facts before we get out of here. On this date in 1868, the birth of W.E.B. Du Bois happened. He was born in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Du Bois was an author, of course, historian, civil rights activist who helped form the NAACP in 1909. Sorry about that.
A legend who passed away on the eve of the Great March on Washington in 1963.
Really? I didn't know that.
So the baton was passed. It can be argued in terms of batons that were passed in terms of our history. Frederick Douglass passed the baton to Du Bois. Du Bois passed the baton to Dr. King in that era. Let's see who's in that picture. I see
Mary McLeod Bethune.
I see who's the brother. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I'm not sure who that is.
Okay.
But Mary McLeod Bethune, the founder of the National Council of Negro Women, and she passed the baton to Dorothy Heights. And so, that history is there for us. Thanks for sharing that picture, Greer. And last but not least, you talked about
who the other person is in the picture, Greer, please.
Oh yeah, that'd be helpful too.
That was Horace Mann Bond.
Okay.
Now who is that? Who is that? Not
that's
familiar.
Julian Bond's grandfather, I think. I think Greer. Google Horace Mann Bond. I'm pretty sure that's Julian Bond's grandfather. I think he was a great educator. So he had 3 great educators. Right. The grid you Google it, she just kind of popped in and popped out.
She's probably Googling it.
Yeah, he was a I think that's Julian Bond's father, but he was a historian, an educator.
Right.
From Nashville.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was the father of Julian Bond.
Oh, it's father.
Yeah.
That's grandfather. Got it. Okay.
Okay, see, we got these black facts rolling this morning.
Black
facts. And last but not least, we're going to forward to 2020. You talked about it earlier. We talked about the Black Lives Matter movement and what happened in that year. We know we lost Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and of course, Ahmaud Arbery. On today, 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery was shot and killed while jogging in Georgia, sparking the national outcry. Now, today, his mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, will honor Ahmaud by hosting the 5th annual memorial run. And so that happens today to continue to uplift her son's name, and turning pain into activism, which is a lot of what happens to these families that lose loved ones to state sanction, federal sanction, police sanctioned violence. They typically turn this pain into activism and awareness. And of course, we remember Ahmaud today and uplift his mother on this tragic day for her.
Man, let's remind everyone, Ahmaud was killed that summer before George Floyd. And if we recall, and we were all captive at home, confined because of COVID. And for hours, we saw those images of Ahmaud Arbery's pursuit. And that was traumatic. And so the George Floyd video just added on top of that. That's why the world exploded. And I mean, all over the world. There was not, you couldn't really organize a movement all over the world because everybody couldn't see or reach each other, but it was very, very organic. We didn't have video of Breonna Taylor, but we heard the details were compelling enough. And so those were the three martyrs in those summers. That summer. So yes, we do lift up the name of Ahmaud Arbery. And I think Ahmaud Arbery was first to prick the conscientiousness, if not the guilt, of white folks. Because a lot of folks feel like, Mark Neal, we didn't know this stuff still happened. But we do. We've been trying to tell you. It's been happening and it hasn't stopped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shout out to civil rights attorney Lee Merritt, who also helped amplify this story to national attention, and continue to fight for justice, and walk side by side with Wanda Cooper Jones during that time of accountability for her son. So yeah, you're right, and we also saw a lot of corporations in 2020 pledge millions and millions of dollars into Black-owned businesses, Black media, Black nonprofits. And then, of course, that kind of just went away. And then with Trump doing this whole DEI, whatever was left for them to spend, they said, we don't have to, and they haven't.
Yeah. I agree. No, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. But it also goes to show that now that a lot of that money has gone away, a lot of our institutions are struggling, which means that we need to find ways to hold corporate America accountable to the things it owes us, because to me, that's also reparational. But also, we can't solely rely upon them. We must support our own. So support the Black Press, y'all. Yourself. Don't wait on corporate media. Support the Black Press yourself.
Yeah, like and subscribe to all of our social media handles. That's Black Press USA. Like and subscribe to our morning show. And of course, like and subscribe to Make It Plain. Talk to us a little bit about that before we get out of here.
That's my podcast, folks. Make It Plain. In fact, 11 Eastern, Dr. Maulana Karenga will be joining us live from your side of the world.
He's right around. His offices are literally right around the corner from me.
Is that right? He'll be joining us live to talk about the impact of the Reverend Jesse Jackson, not only upon civil rights, but on the Black freedom movement as a whole. So you don't want to miss that. And we're also going to Make It Plain and Minister with 2 T's. So check us out.
Right, for sure. And then for those of you who don't know, Dr. Maulana Karenga is the one that invented Kwanzaa. Okay, right. So there is no Kwanzaa without Dr. Maulana Karenga.
That's right. So Kwanzaa, the Black Panther Party, the Super Bowl, and speaking of Reverend Jackson, Operation Breadbasket, were all born in the same year, 1966, and so was I. All of us were born in the same year. Me, Breadbasket, Kwanzaa, Black Panther Party, and the Super Bowl.
Okay, that Black history facts amplified today on Black Press USA's morning show. So you have it. Support Black Press, like and subscribe to everything we just shared with you. And for the latest in Black news, you want to head over to blackpressusa.com. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to have you back sooner or later, Reverend Thompson.
But thank you for having me. I used to do early morning drive, 6 a.m. I haven't done it in years. But this is the best time to be on the air and to get, the word out, let people know what's going on to start their day. Again, I commend you for doing what you do, and you're doing an excellent job. I couldn't get the Wi-Fi to work in this hotel. That's the other thing that was going on this morning. The Wi-Fi is a different name, and again, media technology. Somebody probably didn't want me on here this morning, but folks, support the Black Press USA morning show. Support Neil especially because she gets up so early on the left coast to host a show for all of us to see and to share these headlines. Support our own, support Black media. And folks, we'll have some other exciting things in terms of Black Press USA coming your way very, very soon. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace out.